Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're working on some 1979 Fiat 124 bumpers. These bumpers right here are what we're going to be working on. They're actually off of a 1976 Fiat. And what we're going to be working on today is this end cap right here is missing, so we're actually going to make a little filler piece right in the end here. And we're going to weld that nice and smooth so you'll never be able to tell. As well as inside the bumper, there's a couple bolts right here that have been broken off, so we're going to work on extracting those bolts as well. So we're going to work on these right now. We're going to show you the whole process I'm going to do. So we're helping my buddy John out with these bumpers in hopes to eventually sandblast these and powder coat these bumpers. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on extracting these bolts. I'm going to clamp these down to the table the best I can, just to try to keep it upright so I can actually weld nuts. I'm going to weld these nuts over top of the broken off shafts of the bolts. So let's see if we can actually, what we can do to bolt these down. Go. Nice and sturdy right here. That's not going anywhere. So right here we have the two broken studs. I've got these nuts right here, and these nuts will just set right over top of the studs, just like that, on both studs, just like that. I'm going to try to weld down in as far as I can inside these nuts to try to get the weld down in there to grab onto the shafts of the bolts. Then we can grab the nuts and back these out slowly. So these are set in place here. I'm going to get the welder set up right now, and we're going to try to weld these nuts into place on top of the bolts that are still broken off in there. Let's see what happens. We got a nicely positioned over top, centered over the broken off stud. And can I grab it enough to get in there? Just like that. So I'll bring it in close right now so you can see what we did. So right now, I was able to weld in the center of these nuts here. And that weld should be welded to the top of the stud that was sticking out on both sides. So the theory is, now that this has created a new top to the bolt essentially, I should be able to grab onto this with a wrench and slowly back these out, extracting the bolt that was in there. So we're going to try that right now. So what I'm going to try to find an actual socket that's going to fit over that nut now. Well, that didn't work at all. See, that didn't work. Looks like it took off the rest of the bolt that was there. Let's try this one. I don't have much hope for it. Moved a little bit. Yeah, these bolts are really brittle. I might have to try to find some more nuts and try again. Both of these just broke right off. You can see it didn't last. Actually broke off the rest of the stud that was sticking out. But in theory, that's how you do it. Like manifold exhaust studs, this will work. These are just really brittle bolts. I might try it again. Let me clean it up a little bit more this time. I got slightly smaller nuts we're gonna try. Same exact idea, right over top of the bolts that were broken off. We'll just see if we can get a little better weld now. Maybe not. Try this one first. Well, that's hot. We'll see if it does anything. Nope. Just keeps breaking it off. Epic fail again. Got a little wire brush I'm just trying to clean up. And also hit it with some acetone. So we're going to try it again. We're just going to weld that nut right into place, and maybe we'll get lucky and it'll back out. Probably not. We're going to give it a whirl. I think I'm going to let these cool off, weld them both in place, douse them with some penetrating oil, let them sit for a while. Let's see what happens. So right now we've got the nuts welded on both of the studs that were broken off. We're gonna let this sit. I'm gonna douse this with some penetrating oil, with some WD-40, get it in there. Hopefully it seeps in. So we'll let that sit for a while. We will work on figuring out how to do the end caps right now. So we'll let this cool off. I'll bring up the other one. We'll make a template on some 11 gauge steel for the end cap, and then we'll work on that. So to make the end cap, I'm using a little scrap piece of 11 gauge steel that I have. This should actually work out really good. Should be the perfect thickness for what we need to do. It looks like it's almost the exact same thickness that the existing bumpers are. So we're gonna take this bumper, I'm gonna use some painter's tape and just coat the end of this with painter's tape, then cut along the inside edge here. Take the inside out, slap that onto onto the scrap piece of steel that we have, and then that should be the exact shape we need to fill in here. We'll clean this bracket out of here. It's not needed anymore. Again, these are gonna be sandblasted and powder coated, so I'm not too worried about messing up any of the chrome. So the first thing I'm gonna do before we actually get to making this template is I'm gonna cut this little bracket right in here out of the way. And it's just gonna get in the way of us actually making a cap for this bumper here. So I'm gonna cut that up out of the way, get it smoothed out inside here, nice and cleaned up, ready to make the template. To get that out, I'm just gonna use the cutoff wheel on my grinder. So now that we've got that out of there, it's nice and open, I'm gonna use the 1/2-inch belt sander to clean up around the edge on the inside here. Next, we're gonna take some painter's tape, cover the end, and then cut it out. It's all nicely taped up. So now I'm gonna cut the inside out using the knife. There's the template, and this will get set right down onto here. So I got that cut out here, and I've got it set onto the steel right here that we're going to be using. So next thing we want to do is we need to trace this onto the steel. Now I'll use a Sharpie for that. So we're just going to trace this right onto here like this. Now that we've got it all traced out, we're going to remove this template. So now I will probably use the jigsaw to cut this out the best we can. But before we do that, let's see if we can unbolt this now. I've got low hopes for this coming off, but who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Nope, I think I just broke it. Yep, just keeps breaking off. Let's try this one. This one feels like it's going. Well, that worked. Check that out. So this actually got it out. That's the rest of the bolt that was in there. That's the nut that we welded to the top of the stud that was broken off. That came out absolutely perfect on this one. So we're gonna try again on this one. We're gonna let that soak, some more WD-40 in there. We'll clean it up again. Maybe that's all it took, was just to get in a good penetration in there. He at least has 2 bolts to bolt to now, instead of just the one. We're gonna set this aside, let that sit for a little bit while we work on the other side of the bumper. And we're going to use the jigsaw with the metal bit on it to actually cut this out right here. So we're gonna do that right now. There we go, got the basic shape cut out. Now we're gonna use the flap wheel on the grinder to clean the edge up a little bit. There we go, I've got a slight bevel on the outside edge because we're going to weld along the outside. I want to penetrate down inside when we're welding, and we'll smooth out the top. So this does fit across it perfectly. That's going to be the cap. It's kind of in there now, but got to adjust it just a little bit. We'll be golden to tack this in place. Just a couple tacks, and then we'll get the magnets off. We'll fully weld it in place, grind this all down nice and smooth. That should actually hold it pretty good, just like that. So I've got this cap that's gonna go in just like this, but I want it to be nice and flush with the outside of here. I'm gonna put a magnet right there, and a magnet back here. So we've got the cap all tacked into place. Now we're just gonna do a nice bead all the way around here, welding it in. Then we'll use the flap wheel to smooth it all out. That's all nicely welded in. Now we're gonna use the flap wheel and just smooth it all out.
It sound right, boy.
So this side is now 100% done. You can see the cap is nicely trimmed out at the end. The edges came out really good. There really isn't much to see on the inside. But then we got really good penetration all the way around. So just like that, end cap is now done. So we are back to this one now. I might try and see if I can get this bolt out one more time. The good news is, at least he's got 2 bolts to bolt this in place. So let's get this bolted back down so we can try to weld it and get that bolt out. I'm going to clean up some of the WD-40 right now. Clean up the access off of here. But I'm hoping that it had enough time to penetrate the threads of this bolt. And we will try one more time. Clean it up a little bit with some acetone. I'm hoping I was able to get enough penetration into that bolt. I don't know if I did. Nope. Cannot get in there enough. All right, one more nut, one more time. This actually sets over top of where I already previously welded perfectly. So I'm just gonna weld that in place, just like it is. It's moving back and forth about 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna leave this alone for now. Let that cool down, spray some WD-40 back on it, let it sit for a while, let it think about what a naughty boy it's been. So we're gonna work on getting this ready to cap it like we did the last one. So first thing we need to do is cut this bracket out like we did the last time. Same exact way. It's ready to put the cap on, so we need to tape this up and cut the template out. Here's a close-up of the nut we welded on to the stud right there. So I'm still letting it sit. We'll finish this side, then we'll get back to that. But I did get this side out, this one out. This one came out really nice. It actually unscrewed really easily, surprisingly. So I'm hoping that this comes out the same way, although we've gone through, I don't know, 7 or 8 nuts at this point. So right now we're just going to put painter's tape and cut this out, slap it down on here, just like we did the last time. All right, so I have it covered in painter's tape, just like the last time. Now we're going to cut around with a razor blade on the inside. Now that we have the template cut out, we line this up on the piece of steel here. Now it's on there, we're going to use the Sharpie, trace it out. Now we're going to use the jigsaw and cut this out the best we can. We got a slight bevel on this now. Now we're going to bolt the fender to the table like we did for the first one. So now we're positioning the end cap piece into the end of here. So this thing came out really good. We capped the end of the bumper, just like John was looking for. Nice and solid. Rounded the edges off. Yeah, that came out really good. So this can get sandblasted and powder coated now. It's got a bunch of dings and stuff in it. So I don't know if they're gonna fix that or not. It came out really good. Now we're gonna go back to working on that stupid bolt that broke off and see if we one more time to get that out. Don't have a lot of hope, but we'll try. One more time. Man, it's freaking moving now. I don't know. Let's keep going back and forth with it. Hoping to work the WD-40 down inside a little bit more. So I just keep tightening and loosening. Oh! What the hell is that? This looks like somebody tried to use an easy out. See that? Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Yeah, 'cause that goes way down in there. Somebody drilled a hole. Tried to use an easy out, broke the easy out off and left. I'm gonna have to reach out to John and find out what he did. All right, everyone, as you can see, the bumpers came out absolutely perfect for the 1979 Fiat 124. The caps have been completed, nicely factory looking and nicely rounded off. You can hardly even tell that these were added on. So now you can actually take these, get them sandblasted, powder coated, sandblasted, maybe painted, primed, fill in a couple of these little divots. I don't know, whatever he wants to do, but the end caps are 100% completed on the 79 Fiat. The car he's actually working on looks like this right here. This is the car he's working on. It's a 79 Fiat. These are actually bumpers off of a 76 Fiat. So as always, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification icon down below so you know when future videos do come out. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.